Hello and welcome to the tutorial for SureDone on how to use Fitment in bulk. The main purpose of this tutorial is going to be to show you how to use all of the different Fitment features with our bulk uploader. There's a few important things you should know before watching this video. If you need to refresh yourself on any of these, just pause this, go read about it, or watch previous video, and then come back to this tutorial when you're ready. The first is going to be how to use the bulk uploader. This is very important because I'm not going to cover the basics of that in this video. Now the next is going to be how to set up Fitment in your settings to make sure that it's activated on your account. If you don't do this, none of the things we talk about today will work. And the last is just to know about the different types of Fitment so you don't get confused about them when I talk about them on the next slide. Now on eBay there's different types of Fitment, primarily the ePID and the catalog ePID numbers. Both of those are what we use to communicate with eBay and tell them which parts fit on which vehicles. We do that by sending them the actual ePID numbers. However, in bulk, we also have this year, make, model format you see here, which allows you to not have to go and look up the ePID numbers, the same way we have the tool in the UI for you. You can combine these together, so if you have some of the ePID numbers already on existing listings, but just want to add new Fitment, you can do that in this format here. Now it's important to know that whenever you're using this year, make, model format, really all it does is SureDone converts that into the ePIDs, and we still send the ePIDs to eBay. If you were to bulk export these listings later from our bulk exporter, you'll notice that all of the values are converted to ePIDs. So you won't actually be able to edit listings and export this information, but it is a very useful bulk tool to allow you to add lots of Fitment at once without having to look up those numbers. And as we mentioned previously in video, the field is always asterisk or star separated. So you just put these between the individual ePID entries. And lastly, I'll also talk a little bit about how you do Fitment notes in bulk. We have the original inline format, which you can put at the end of something like this. And I'll show you an example. Or you can use the eBay Fitment notes field we talked about in the previous video. An important thing to know though is you should only ever use one or the other. Mixing the two together can cause some funky errors. So let's quickly show you some examples. So here I have a bulk upload spreadsheet, some basic data in the beginning you might be used to, but all the important stuff is right here in these last couple columns. This is where all the Fitment data lives. Now, as you remember in the settings video, in order for Fitment to work, you have to be in a valid eBay Motors category that supports Fitment. These are. And you need to be your eBay site ID needs to be eBay Motors. The code for that in bulk is 100. So eBay US is 1 and eBay Motors is 100. If you have it saved in your settings as default eBay Motors, you can actually leave this column out or upload it as blank, because that'll tell SureDone to go check your settings to find your default value. So that's what we're going to do here because this is a Motors only account. Then here you have the eBay ePID field. Now remember that these fields here are actually custom user fields and they may be named differently in your account. However, these are the default and recommended names, and most users will find that this is how they're set up, especially for eBay ePID. In this top column here, I have an example of using both eBay ePIDs, and then at the end you'll notice I have two of the year, make, model format as examples. So you can put them in here. You can see there's a dash here, so you can actually specify multiple years at once. This has a Fitment note, and actually this should not have quotations on it. There's no need for that. You're allowed to have a space in the note because it's just going to check for the star at the end to know when the next one is. But you should only ever have spaces in the note. There's really no reason to ever have spaces up here, and that might cause you some issues. In this case, I actually specified down to the trim as well. You could go one further and specify the engine type if you get that specific. And I also include an eBay catalog ePID here. So now what this is going to do is it's going to combine all the ePIDs represented by this part number, all of the ePIDs represented by these two year, make, model formats, plus these 4 ePIDs here. It's important to remember that you still need to remain under eBay's minimum Fitment list, otherwise they're just going to truncate it and stop adding Fitment. So we combine all of this information together, and then you have to make sure that that number is under the limit. And lastly, You'll notice I don't have any fitment notes in this column because I've used the inline fitment notes here. But in this item here, I could completely add my own fitment notes here as long as I don't use the inline method here. Okay. Now, let me just show you a little bit more about the year, make, model format. So this, there is a guide in our solutions database that sort of specifies like specific examples and things like that. But here's a quick overview of what you can use with the year, make, model format. Here's an example for the automotive. It's very similar for the power sports. Just as you might know, after the model it changes, right? So they have submodel instead of trim, and it just follows from that. Each column is separated by a pipe, which is this vertical bar here, and you can usually find that above your return key on the keyboard. You might have to hold down Shift. Years can be given as a range, just like in the UI. You just use a dash or a hyphen here. The first three columns, the year, the make, and the model, are required, but the rest are optional. And what we do is we just assume that if you don't include those columns, you want all possible combinations of them. Again, same as the UI. And the last column may be exploded with a caret character. So in this case, you'll see here, this is for all 2002 Honda Accords and Civics. And then we're going to take all the different trim and engine types of those and explode that out. However, it's important that it can only be the last column. So you can't say all two-door Honda Accord and Civics because this is no longer the last column. You could put, two-door, caret, four-door. That would work. But you can't have a caret in this third column. And one quick example of what that would look like is this fitment here uses most of the features available. This could be one value in your bulk spreadsheet, and it would include all of these EPIDs you see here. So that's what it would actually look like when it got posted to eBay. Okay. Then once you're ready, you would just go to the SureDone bulk uploader. You'd find the file you saved as a CSV, and you can upload it right there. That concludes our tutorial on eBay fitment in bulk. And just remember that any fitment you push here will also be pushed to your SureDone storefront if you have fitment set up there. Thank you, and have a great rest of your day.